Welcome to Garden Delights. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to talk about honey. We're going to hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, and he's going to talk more about honey. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. Today we're talking about honey, and we're going to be making honey granola bars later. But let's talk about honey. And honey is one of my favorite sugar blends, natural sweeteners. And I have a father that also is a honeybee person that has his own hives, and so I've had a chance to grow up on good old raw honey. Honey is a natural sweetener. It has a little bit of blend of sugar. It's got enzymes, minerals, vitamins like vitamin C, a little bit of iron, and a little bit of calcium. And so it's a really good benefits from it just by eating it. And it has a little bit of amino acids. And you know, we talk about honey, and when it's raw, we have to think about the good things also. It has antibacterial properties, it has antioxidant properties also in that honey. And then it also, which is really good, it can boost our energy. So if you're looking for a way to boost your energy, try a tablespoon of honey a day and see if that can boost your energy for the day. And it can reduce some people's allergies. So if you have an allergy, and you're looking for a way to kind of help that part of it, you can find out, you really want to go local though. You want to find out locally where you are growing up or where you live. Find someone that locally grows, that has honey that you can buy from them, because those honeybees are going to be foraging on those plants out there that are the ones that probably that are making you have allergies. And so what you want to do is about 2 months maybe before the allergy season starts for you, is to start taking about 1 teaspoon of honey every day from that local person that's in your area. And that's supposed to help curb your allergies to where they're not as bad. So it's a great health benefit. And locally is the best because you're getting it locally from the area that you live in, and it's going to be raw honey, which to me is the best. The good thing about honey, it never spoils. Now what it will do, it may crystallize. Now this is a lighter honey, I will tell you this. Depending on the bees that what they're foraging on, depends on the color of that honey also. So that's something to keep in mind too. If it crystallizes, it's just a form that it goes through, and that means that you've kept it a little bit longer, it's okay. Honey, you can take it, heat a pot of water up, let it kind of not be boiling. Don't set it on the pot while it's hot on the oven, but once you take it off, if you have some water, you can set that honey down in that pot, and it will turn the honey back to liquid, and it's good to go. So as you can see, it's a great staple to have on that shelf somewhere in that kitchen for you to eat on, and you don't just have to eat it on something as far as food. It's a great teaspoon a day, you know, as far as eating honey is even good for us for our health. So as you can see, honey can be good for you. So we'll see you back in just a little bit. You will hear from Frank Hancock. He's going to talk more about the honey with Mr. Upchurch, and then we'll be making the honey granola bars. See you back in just a little bit.
Okay, today we're out here with Richard Upchurch, and we're going to talk a little bit about honeybees. Honeybees, they play an important role in pollinating our gardens and our crops in general. We've had a decline in the number of honeybees for a number of reasons. Today we're going to concentrate on what honeybees do through the winter and how they need to be taken care of through the winter so that they don't starve to death through the winter and even cause more decline. So feeding them is something that the beekeeper has a little bit of control over. So we're going to let Richard tell us. This particular hive we got, Richard, it came from where?
Came from Savannah, Georgia. Miss Melinda Hartfield obtained a grant, and the company from Savannah came over and put an observation hive down at Unity Grove Elementary. And the way the observation hive is configured, they got a little crowded before anybody knew it, and they swarmed. And when that happened, they called me down to come and get them. And this was in late September. Honeybees don't normally swarm that late in the year. So I haven't been inside, but we're going to go inside the hive and see what's going on. And hopefully they've been busy and working hard, and I won't have to feed them too much. So let's see what's going to happen, okay?
Okay.
We're going to smoke them again. I've already smoked them one time.
What does the smoke do for them?
Smoke calms them down. It causes them to gorge a little on honey in case they were to have to leave and set up housekeeping someplace else. So we're going to set the top over here, and this is to get it above the feeders. And this is a point that I would like to stress for the beekeepers that are having to feed their honeybees. I cut out a piece of plywood here, slide it down here against the jar lid, lift the jar up real careful and slide it over to cover up the hole, and they never know I'm here. I don't even have to put on a suit when I come out to feed them. And I think a lot of beekeepers would like to have that idea, and if they would like it, all they got to do is check with me, and we'll make sure that they got what they need. So this is the way it makes it easy for me to do it. Now we're going to put my veil on in case, and Mr. Hancock is going to move over.
All right.
And I don't know what kind of temperament they have, but we're fixing to see. And this is a super that had pulled comb but was empty that I put on here for them to store some extra stores in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the bees in here and just sit it down right here with the bees. This right here is a queen excluder that allows the worker bees to come up into the box above them, but it won't let the queen come up. And the reason I had that on there is if I had not had the queen excluder, the queen would have moved right up into that empty super and started laying eggs. So that's the reason for that. Now when I put these bees in here, these frames had brand new wax foundation, and they have to pull the comb before the queen can lay eggs. So we got a lot of bees. And if you can see a little more closely, they're pulling the comb on the inside of the outside frame. So that tells me that they've pulled most of the comb in the center of the hive, because that's where they normally start, is in the center. And I'm going to need to put another box on top because they're getting crowded, and they just might swarm again. And they've got some brood, but not much. But let's go a little deeper. One or two more. We won't take them all out. We'll go one or two more and see what's going on. Yeah, that frame, you can see the queen is laid, and it's got brood that's been capped over. And that's a good sign that I'm gonna have to feed them all winter, because there's a lot of bees here. Lots and lots of bees. And I'd like to make this statement. I'm under the impression here lately that a lot of hobby beekeepers might just take off too much honey. because it's going to take a lot of honey for these bees right here to go through the winter. Normally, they eat about 25 to 30 pounds of honey a month, depending on how many bees. And there's a lot of bees in this hive, more than I thought. I should have already been in here and checked them out. See, that frame has a solid brood on both sides, and that means we're going to have twice as many bees. And if this is the original queen, she should be marked, but I'm not going to take the time to check to see if it's the original queen. We're just going to put this frame, since it doesn't have all the comb pulled, we're going to put it over here in the middle and sort of beg them to pull it next. Because if you don't get all the comb pulled we call this bottom box the brood box, and if they don't pull all the comb in the brood box, the chances are it won't get pulled. And I'm going to take this one out. It might not have any comb pulled. It doesn't have any at all. So we're going to stick it over here in the center. Hopefully they will. That'll give them a little better place to cluster up. In the wintertime, they get in a cluster. They kick their wings out of gear and work their wing muscles, and that's the way they generate heat to stay warm. And they're going to need this space in the middle in order to cluster up a little easier. So we're going to put that one in there. So they're not looking too bad. Let's put the queen excluder back on. And put this one back on. Now we'll probably put some pollen substitute on top of this super right here. We call the boxes supers. And what we're going to do now is we're going to lift the hood off, and I'm going to fill up 2 jars, one with sugar water and one with honey. I'm going to use, hand me those jars out of that one over there. I got 2 clean ones I want to use. And this is what I was mentioning in early. If you got this little device, it makes it real easy to slide it right back down. And I've got a lady right here that doesn't like me. She's checking me out.
Yeah.
It's a little cooler than it normally is for this honey to run. I might mention something we haven't mentioned before, that the honeybees, after they first hatch, they have certain duties that they have to perform inside the hive before they go out to collect pollen and nectar. And one of them is guarding the hive. And that was probably one of the guard bees that was buzzing me a minute ago, checking me out to see what's going on. They're really, really a lot smarter than we give them credit. I don't think we'll ever figure out exactly why they do everything that they do. But I guess we'll keep trying. We're going to close them back up, and I'll check them again maybe in about 2 weeks, and check them again about 2 weeks, and make some changes if I need to, and where the frames are placed to where they'll have room to move up.
Okay.
That's the way they do it. That's the way they do it.
All right.
Fascinating insects.
They are fascinating.
They are.
And I think now we're ready to go back inside and see what Susan's fixing in the kitchen.
Today we're talking about honey, and we're going to be making honey granola bars. Very, very simple, very tasty, and if you're going on a trip and you need something to eat in the car, perfect for that too. So let's start off with the recipe. What I have here is I have 1.5 cups of rolled oatmeal, and I did put it in the oven at 350 for about 15 minutes because I want a little bit of golden color to them and a little bit more of a crunch than coming right out of the container. So that's 1.5 cups of rolled oats, and they're toasted in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, depending on your oven, and they get brown. That's what I'm looking for, not dark brown, just enough to give them toasted, give a little crunch to it. Now, what I have next is almonds. These are just regular almonds, they're not salted, and I need a cup of almonds. Now, what I did do, and I didn't do it on TV for you, but I did already chop these up in a food processor. If you won't hold almonds in it, that's fine, but I want them to be chopped up. So I have chopped them up, and they're different sizes, which makes it even better for the granola bar. So I'm gonna set that there. I'm actually gonna move this over to here. The next thing we're going to do, and these are dates. This is 1 cup of dates. They're very finely chopped. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that these get really mixed in with the oats because you just want to make sure the oats and the almonds kind of mix in. I'm going to use this spoon real quick and see if I can't get it mixed in just a little bit better. That spatula's a little... So I just want to get this as much as possible. And it's just because, you know, once you take a date and mix it up, it becomes a little sticky. So, okay, so the next step we're going to do is you're going to need to heat 1/4 of creamy peanut butter and 1/4 of honey. So I'm going to go ahead and just take my top off of my honey, and I am going to mix it first. I'm going to go ahead and put it in here. Make sure I get enough. I'm also going to make sure I drain it out of that 1/4 too to make sure I have enough. I'll scoop every bit out because I love the taste of honey. All right, that looks really good. So I have that, and now this is already measured out. This is 1/4 cup of peanut butter, so I'm going to add that to the honey. And I also love peanut butter too, so it's just really good to these two mixed together is just really good. All right, so I have all my peanut butter. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to heat this on the oven on top of the stove part, and this only needs to just go for a little bit. So once you kind of already have your peanut butter and your honey together, go ahead and mix it together, because all I want to do is mix this together, and then I'm going to pour this on top of my granola part of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the oven and heat it up. And it doesn't take long, and you don't want it, you know, you don't want to burn it. So all I'm trying to do is heat this up. and it will not take long for it to heat up. So don't walk away from it while you're heating it up, because if you do, you're going to have probably burnt honey and peanut butter. So you do want to make sure that you're paying attention to it, because it doesn't take long for it to heat up. So what I'm trying to do is just get it heated up so the honey and the peanut butter are mixed in really well. This is already getting to where it's really incorporated together and it's mixed together. And it doesn't really have to be bubbly or hot. It just needs to be mixed together and kind of heated up so it'll be a little bit looser. So when I pour it over the granola, it's going to mix really nicely with that part of it. I think that's about what I need. And I'm just barely heating it up, and it looks really good. So I think I'm going to take this off. And we're going to pour it over our granola. And I don't want it to get on my spoon too much. I want it mostly on the granola. So as you can see, when I start pouring it out, it's just really loose. We just want to, and it smells really good. So I'm just going to mix this around. Do want to make sure I get it all off. Almost have it off into the granola part of it. All right, let's set this down, and I am going to make sure I get all this off of here. I may need this again, but I'm going to use this spoon first to kind of mix it around. Very, very simple to do. I'll set that there for right now. And I'm just going to mix it in, and if you can see, it's not a lot. So really all this is binding it together so that when I press it out to make the bars, that's the main thing that I'm going to do. And let me just tell you this, it takes a little bit of stirring. So when you're doing this, believe me, it's going to take you a little bit of stirring to make sure you get all that honey and that peanut butter mixed in with your granola, your almonds, and make sure it's mixed in really good, because you want a little moisture on everything. So just try to mix it in really good. And you can see now, this is really mixed in really well. You don't see any dry ingredients. You have a really moist looking granola bar. So what we're going to do now is I already have a pan ready to go. Put this over here. And this pan is also, it's already lined with saran wrap, so I can pull it out. So what I'm going to do now is just pour these in, and then once you get it into your Pyrex dish or whatever you're going to use, you can use an aluminum pan if you want to. You're going to put this in. I'm going to set this right here for a second. I'm going to use this just to push it off my spoon, because I want every bit of this. And now this is the part, if you don't mind getting your hands a little messy, you are going to have to do this, because we're going to press it. But first, what I like to try to do is take my spoon, and I like to work it down into the corners, because I want it kind of even too when I make the bars. So I'm going to kind of push it before I start using my hand to push it down with. So I'm just going to push it toward the edges, make sure it's not all in the middle, and so we don't have a bunch of lumpy bars. So we're just going to do it that way. I'm going to do a little bit more pushing this off this spoon. And then I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to press it. So I'm going to set these here. So what you want to do is just press it. And it's not going to, as you can see, it's not really messing my hands up at all. But what I'm going to do is just kind of press them down. It's the same way if you were buying one at the store. You would want to make sure you press them down really good, because they're going to make better bars if they're compacted into the container that you're going to put them in. So I'm just going to keep pressing till I get everything out to the edges. Now I have one more step that I'm going to tell you we're going to add, and this is optional, but for all you chocolate lovers, I'm going to add just one more thing, but you can leave this off. Like I said, it's optional. This is 1 tablespoon of the mini chocolate chips that you can put and add on. So I'm just going to kind of sprinkle them around. As you can see, it's not going to be that much, but if you really like chocolate and feel like you just got to have a little bit of chocolate, that granola bar, then you can add that. And then I'm just going to push that down also in there too. Now, You could leave these out for a while and they'll firm up and harden up, or if you're in a hurry, then put them in your freezer like the recipe will say, or your refrigerator for about 10 to 15 minutes until they get hard, and then you're ready to cut. And these will make about 10 bars. So I'm just going to keep pushing that chocolate down in there because I want to make sure it's in there also. And you have honey granola bars. Very tasty, easy to make. It's going to be yummy, and it's like I said, once they get ready, you'll just take this plastic wrap, pull them out of there, they're ready to cut and ready to eat, and they'll store in about 3 to 4 days, you know, as far as keeping them wrapped up, and so you can store them about that long. So easy recipe, but yummy as far as adding that honey to it. We'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. Frank is with us, and we're going to try our honey granola bars, Frank.
Honey granola bars.
Yes.
All right.
Are you looking forward to it?
I am looking forward to it.
All right. Well, I am going to try to just scoop it up and give it to you on your little napkin there.
Okay.
right.
I will use my napkin since we're on TV.
Yes. We don't want it dropped. This will make about 10 bars, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut one side of it. And you can see they're pretty firm. So, you know, when I was pouring it up, all you got to do is let it set out. Now, if you want to do it faster, you could put it in your freezer and speed it up a little bit. But as you can see, nice size bar, and you can keep it for a while. Good snack. And what's even better is it's homemade.
Mm-hmm. We've been out talking about bees. We went out to Richard Upchurch's, and he's got some bees out there. A lot of talk about honeybee decline, so we kind of talked about what they can do, what people who are keeping bees can do to not rob all the honey off of them and give them enough to eat to make it through the winter. That's one of the things I know. When I was a kid, bees were everywhere. If you go barefooted in the yard, you're going to step on a bee, and everybody had clover growing in their yard. But if clover grows in one of these manicured lawns now, they want to know what to spray on it
to get rid of it.
Get rid of it. So the bees have a hard time making it. So
they do. They really do. And so we need to make sure that we are providing some areas for our bees to forage on, because if we didn't, we wouldn't have this wonderful honey that's locally in our area. So check out the website. And you will find this recipe. And Frank and I will see you next time on Garden Delights.
that's all I got to say. I'm eating.